Good afternoon and welcome back to Dan's Vintage Baseball PC. Do not be fooled by the fancy name. It's just me and some friends talking about baseball cards. And just wanted to wrap up my national coverage with the second part of the video covering the people that I met and hung out with and had outstanding experiences with at the National. As a caveat, I was there from Wednesday afternoon to Sunday morning. I met with many people on the floor, social events, etc. If I don't mention your name and we had a good interaction, apologize in advance. I couldn't really get everybody in, but just the people I got selfies with, and I wasn't that good with getting selfies like I would do it. I would come on my head once in a while. But anyway, so Cleveland was a trip. I took basically Route 80 across Pennsylvania is the big part, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and part of Ohio. It's a 7.5 hour drive, and I left in the morning on Wednesday. Got there in the mid afternoon, about 2:15, 2:30, and I was exhausted. Didn't stop for lunch. Dropped my stuff in the house and went directly to the show. The house, meaning this wonderful abode, was the home for 4 or 5 days to about 15 different YouTubers, many of whom I'd known, some of whom I'd met, many of whom I've known before, but not quite in this way. And to be honest with you, this was a extraordinarily memorable experience. The house was modest, but the people were terrific, and many of them, honestly, I feel like I'm going to be friends with for life. But just wanted to go through, dropped everything in the house, went to the venue on Wednesday, dealt with traffic, dealt with a very long line to get the VIP pass, and ultimately I ended up getting onto the floor. I'd say probably between 4:30 and 5. But within 5 minutes of getting onto the floor, I was fortunate to just happen to bump into Sammy Thunder and Don from the show and me. And Sammy was in the process of securing really an amazing card. I think there's some less than 10 out there in the wild. It's a postcard of Christy Mathewson from the I can't remember the name of them. Anyway, go to Sammy's channel, and I'm sure he'll have a discussion about it. But amazing purchase. And then I walked over to Ash's booths and ran into this gentleman on the right, who is known as the Rated Rabbi. Has a fantastic YouTube channel where he talks about different players and all sorts of social issues and pop culture related to the 1984 All-Star Game. Terrific channel. And so I spoke to him for a little bit, but mostly watched him pick up a 1954 Hank Aaron rookie card, which, as you can see in his hand, is pretty awesome. So two very lucky interactions there for two people making two very awesome purchases. Also saw on the floor on the left is hobby lawyer Paul Lesco. If you don't know Paul, he is a incredibly engaging, funny man who talks about all of the legal issues that come about in the hobby. A lot of it's modern, things that are happening now. But Paul also has a background in knowing the lawsuits from the past, and has a collection based on cards that have legal issues. So it's a really sort of unique niche for Paul in the hobby, but he plays that role perfectly, and I couldn't imagine a better person to be the hobby lawyer. His jersey says the hobby lawyer on the back, and as you can see, there's some writing on it. Mostly everybody signs on the back, and I had the opportunity to sign on what is, I guess, Paul's left shoulder, the hobby lawyer jersey. On the right is Don from the show and me, who I mentioned, who I saw quite a bit on the floor. Again, wonderful man. Met him in Strongsville, and has a great collection, particularly as it comes to pre-war and Walter Johnson. So that was a good opportunity to meet with those two gentlemen. Now, Wednesday was, I went to the show for about an hour and a half, maybe. Made a couple of big purchases that I talked about in my last video. Um, but Wednesday was kind of a whirlwind, and got back to the house and stayed up late, and got a little bit of sleep. But Thursday was a full day, and Thursday was great. I mean, it was just a lot of shopping on the floor, meeting people. But the real highlight of Thursday was the YouTube get together. This is the picture that captures everyone who was there, and there are a ton of us. I would say the estimate was somewhere around 300. Fortunately, the American Legion Hall had both a main hall in the bottom level, but they also had something upstairs. So we were able to split up people who wanted to go upstairs, people who wanted to stay downstairs. And it never got so crowded that it was like, wall-to-wall people. It actually was kind of comfortable. Great event. Again, didn't speak to everyone I wanted to speak to, but that's because just of sheer numbers and time. And of course, thanks to Mike Moynihan for putting this together. And Dave, Legends of the Dugout, who was in our house, terrific gentleman, actually set this up. So great on him also for getting the venue for the event. So said on a live stream a few days before the National that the two people I wanted to meet most who I hadn't met before were Mike Junk Wax Hero and the great John Mangini. So here we are taking a selfie together. I'm not sure what the hell I was doing with my face. I was trying to make a face like, what am I doing here with these two guys kind of face, but I don't know, it just kind of came out stupid. But anyway, Mike is a great guy, very funny guy, lot to talk about, and of course Mangini, who is just an amazing amount of information about cards, knowledge about cards, great sense of humor also. And I could say that the character he plays on his show is not as nice as the gentleman who you meet in person. So nothing but positive things to say about both of these gentlemen. And when I met them, I was not disappointed. A couple of other individuals. One is, of course, Orlando, who we've talked about on this channel before, has been on the channel before. One of the nicest guys in the hobby, made a amazing purchase at the National with a great story attached to it, literally a completely unique item. And I would really implore you to go over to Orlando's channel and watch his videos about that pickup. It's just striking. And I had the opportunity to hold it in my hand and, of course, take a picture with it. The guy on the right is Dylan, Double D Vintage. He and I hit it off immediately because the energy and that positiveness that he has on his channel is even greater in real life. Just a bubbling with positive energy, and I love guys like that. We hit it off because we were talking about Hawaii, and he lives in a section of Hawaii, the island of Kauai, which, interestingly enough, today is Saturday, August 3rd. Exactly a year ago was my last day in that particular section of Hawaii, which is the north shore of the island of Kauai. I believe the 4th or the 5th, we flew out to another island, but absolutely 1 year ago. Dylan and I talked about collaboration, and I expect there will be some, so you're going to see him on this show, hopefully in the very near future. So both of these were at the Thursday night get-together. As for these two, the gentleman on the right, of course, is Mike Moynihan. I didn't do a very good job with the selfie there. Cut his face in half. But Mike, as you know, as I mentioned on my last video, was responsible for me getting onto the line to get this Johnny Bench autograph and the Johnny Bench interaction without having to wait an inordinate amount of time, which most people did. But so thanks again to Mike for that. The gentleman on the right is Jeremy Donson. Jeremy Donson, otherwise known as the Texas Snowman, is partner of Chris Sewell in many deals, and he's been on Chris Sewell's channel many times. Jeremy started up an auction house this year, just a few months ago. He's at less than 5 auctions. I think there's a new one starting up soon. But it's the collector investor auctions, and I'll link to that below. I'm really impressed with the website. I'm really impressed with the way they started out, and I know Chris is a minority partner in it. It's mostly run by Jeremy, but so far he's done an amazing job with the collector investor auctions, and got a card from Jeremy, and like I said, I'll link below. Um, let's see, who do we have here? Well, this is actually Jeremy at his table. His table was number 420, easy number to remember. And of course, the person on the right is Chris Sewell. So they were set up next to James Elite Hunters. That was one sort of long table with with two L's, and that became kind of I guess a little bit of a place for YouTubers to meet and hang out. And I ended up talking to a lot of people in that area just about cards, and fortunate to also be handed a stack of freshly graded Blazer vintage cards from Jeremy to get my opinion on the grading, which was fun. And I was pretty much right about what and in agreement with what he thought about the grades. Some of them a little overgraded, one in particular undergraded. So that was fun. Two other individuals I got a chance to meet. That's TG Online, Tony on the left, who we talked for quite a bit, just about things, life, kids, cards, shows, etc. He's a Philly guy, so hoping to see him at the Philly show in September. On the right is Darren from Return to Collecting. I was lucky. If you could see right next to the card Darren is holding up, you see the dealer right there? That is Stan Locke. Stan Locke sold to Darren a 1933 Babe Ruth. Amazing pickup for Darren. I just happened to be at Stan's booth while that was happening. I was fortunate to meet Darren's dad, who would be right off to the left as I'm taking this picture. So I can only imagine the joy of buying a card of that nature from a dealer who we all, love and respect, with your dad there at the National. So good on Darren there for making that amazing purchase, and I'm so fortunate to have been able to see it. So we talked about the Johnny Bench thing. So yeah, we're close to the front of the line. That's me on the left. Johnny signing the autograph on the 70 All-Star card. The person on the right talking to Johnny Bench is Chris from Missouri. And Chris has made several days ago a video about this interaction, which is incredibly, it's hilarious, and it's sort of just, a great story. Johnny Bench, great person to interact with, not at all standoffish, very sort of down to earth kind of guy. And I would encourage anyone to go to Chris's channel I'm not going to spoil the story, but anyway, so Chris had a 1968 Johnny Bench rookie card signed, so that was a great experience for both of us. Let me see here. We got a couple of other, I think we got a couple more. Oh, there's Chris again, getting his Johnny Bench autograph. This gentleman on the left is Jason from Cards and Comics, who I had never met before. I met him through Doug, the Joe Wood collector. We sat down and we talked a lot, but that was the day after. This is a sale, a deal he's making. Person on the right, of course, is Leighton Sheldon from Just Collect, and Leighton was buying a bunch of Jason's cards here, and I was particularly enamored with the 1960 Yastrzemski rookie, a card I don't have, and the one that was sold here was a nice, graded, very well centered, no print defects version of that card, which looked really quite attractive. But anyway, those are two people doing a deal that I just happened to look into witnessing. That is Chris Gilmore, my friend from Vintage Breaks, and he was in for Saturday, Sunday, so I know this picture was taken on Saturday morning. And so we had a little bit of a conversation. We didn't do much in terms of socializing, but next time, Chris. So here's some of the cards of the dealers. As you can see, the Jeremy Donson card is there. Bottom left is Tim Payne, Payne Sports. I have only actually interacted with Tim Payne twice. because he's from Iowa, and I think the shows that he does primarily are Midwest and Texas. And so the only time I ever met him before was the National in Atlantic City. So he was quite a popular dealer there because his prices were reasonable. He had a great selection. The gentleman on the right, the card is Dan McKee. Dan McKee's a dealer from, I believe it was Baltimore, who will be at the Philly show this time. Tons of non-graded, oddball stuff. That's where I got the 1910 Joe Wood card that is now currently off to SGC. So I would encourage anyone going to the Philly show to hit up Dan McKee's booth because there's some great stuff there. So here's a collection of different items that were given to me over the week. The upper left is Dan Wallach, who has a baseball history podcast. I met him at the Love of the Game auctions booth. Just below that is John Wade Boggs fan, who gave out numbered copies, signature copies of a picture of card with him and Wade Boggs. And let me see what number I am. I can't quite read it, but it's a numbered card. This this beauty is the great Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. This card, everybody in the house, I guess so there were 15 of them, John 3D80's kid got them all graded and handed them out in little envelopes to everyone. And so everyone pulled out a graded by SGC Fred Rogers rookie card, apparently. So I got a 9. So Fred Rogers, great American, one of the nicest men ever to exist on the planet Earth. TJ, who we spoke about before, gave me his little customized card, which is in the style of a 1977 Topps. This one is amazing. Jake, this is a 1956 style card, and it's got the action shot and the portrait and the coloring, and it's just a terrific card with stats on it. I don't know what the stats say. I didn't read them, but this is Jake. He, if you remember from the last video, was I was super fortunate to be able to be there at Tim Payne's booth when Jake was there and see a couple of cards that ended up becoming big hits for me. Few gifts, a lot of gifts were given out at our house. Joe from Four Soft Corners gave everyone a package of cards customized for them personally. So I got a big packet of Yankees cards, the 2 of which I'm going to show. One is this terrific Grand Central Station card. It's a, whatchamacallit, Allen and Ginter, right? The Allen and Ginter remakes from modern cards, but it's Grand Central Station. It's a beautiful shot. Love that card. And of course, 1976, Greg Nettles. You know what Greg Nettles did in 1976? He led the American League in home runs. So a Topps 1976 Greg Nettles. I'm happy to have that. Got a 1979 Topps wrapper from Drew. Clean cheap shots, Drew. And this is going to go with my 1979 Ozzie Smith signed rookie card that I'll be getting back in the mail. And so the house was, is this my last, no, I'll go back. I got one more thing to do. So as you know, Matt from the Card Story is extremely generous gentleman who basically gave out a box of cards to everybody in the house on the last night. But he gave me this special card. It's not a card, it's a photo. It's Stan Bonson, who was the 1968 Rookie of the Year, pitched for the Yankees up and through 71. Munson, of course, was in the league in 69 for a little bit, but 70 and 71. So my guess is this is either a 70 or 71 photograph signed by Stan Bonson, shaking Munson's hand at the end of the game. Thurman Munson, this shirt is kind of fading because I wore it so much, passed away in a plane crash 45 years ago this week. Today's the 3rd. It was August 2nd, 1979. So anything with Munson, a young Munson, signed by Bonson. To me, this is an extraordinarily special piece, and I just need a place to display it. So on Sunday, I did not go to the show. In fact, I left fairly early from Cleveland, but I did go one place before I left. About 10 minutes away from our Airbnb was this house. If you recognize it, if you know, you know. This is the house from the Christmas movie, the 1983 movie, A Christmas Story. The house is located in Cleveland, so they have, whoever it was, bought up the house, turned it into a museum, bought the Bumpus house next to it, turned that into part of the museum, and where this picture is taken on the street, there's a gift shop right across the street where you can buy some items from A Christmas Story. I was fortunate to get some items. Here's one of them, which is still in its box. It is a small version of the leg lamp, the infamous leg lamp from A Christmas Story. And that was my last pickup. Oh, there's the. I should also mention, the Bobby Mercer. This Bobby Mercer card came to me from Dave. Legends of the Dugout gave me a nice Bobby Mercer card. So as you know, I have a Mercer and Munson PC that I collect whenever I can get them. So that is the last slide. But I did have one other item. That is a leg lamp bottle opener. So I'm hoping to bring this to Strongsville to open up some beers whilst hanging out at the Cleveland/Strongsville show in a couple of, well, not a couple of months, about 7 or 8 months from now. So that's the people. That was my national experience. We'll never forget it. Loved every minute of it. And if there's anybody I forgot, I'm sorry again. We'll get to you at some point. But so later on today, I'm recording another interview with Mike, sports history collector. We're doing the 1971 to 75 Oakland A's. That should be a fun one. I have a few other things lined up. The Ernie Banks show is lined up for the 10th. I'm working on a couple other things. So we've got a lot of interviews going to be taking place over the next 4 to 8 weeks. Basically, just continuing with the super collector interviews and throwing in videos here and there. I did send out yesterday a 16 card SGC submission. So when that comes back, I'll do an SGC show. So thank you to everybody at the National who was kind to me, who were friendly to me, who were helpful to me, who gave me things, but more importantly, who gave me camaraderie and also, just a feeling that the hobby is filled with some really, really good people. And, kudos to everyone who was at the National and had a great experience. I should mention one other person. Oh, Jason, Everyday Cards. Absolutely. One of my favorite guys in the hobby was in the house and one of everybody's favorite guys in the house. Anyway, so let's watch this video, and then tomorrow watch the video from with Mike, and then next week we'll be back with another one. So take care, everybody.